Welcome to the Nittany Report, presented by the SteelFlyers All Sports Network, a show where each week after the final whistle of the Penn State game, your host, SteelFlyers, will break down each game with key plays, up-to-the-minute stats, and great commentary. From Happy Valley to all points in the Big Ten and beyond, we are Penn State. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Nittany Report. That's right, we are on week 4 of the Nittany Report, brought to you by the SteelFlyers All Sports Network. That's right, www.steelflyers.com is proud to present the Nittany Report, week number 4. That's right, that's the Penn State Nittany Lions versus the Central Michigan Chippewas, and Penn State welcomes them in for another home game. This was a 3:30 kickoff. And Penn State ranked number 14th in the league, or in the land, or in the playoffs, or in the polls, or wherever you want to call it. But ranked 14th. As they keep winning, they get a little higher in the rankings. They were ranked earlier after the win against Auburn, or after the win against Purdue there, and started climbing the ranks. And so now they're ranked 14th after the win against Auburn last week. And they welcome in Central Michigan. And what was Central Michigan and Daniel Richardson able to do against Chop Johnson and the Penn State defense? Well, as you can see, they only put up 14 points. Penn State defense actually did really well and held them to only 88 yards total on the ground. It was running back by committee for them, and it just wasn't happening. I mean, Richardson did throw for 45 attempts. Unfortunately, he did leave the game at the end, towards the end there of the fourth quarter, and Chase Bauer had to come in and do some mop-up duties there. He was 3 of 7 for 40 yards, but Richardson for Central Michigan was 26 for 45, 235 yards. He had 2 touchdowns, but he also had 2 interceptions. And I think that was kind of more of the story here of this kind of Penn State game here, and kind of has been for them this whole season so far, has been the takeaways. They are hugely plus in the category of takeaways when it comes to that, as far as that's concerned. So they had 5 takeaways today, or I'm sorry, during the game on Saturday. They had 5 takeaways, 2 interceptions, 2 fumbles, and a muffed kick return or punt return that turned into a fumble as well. So usually when you're on the losing end of the plus-minus differential, when it comes to the turnovers, that's usually not going to bode well for you. And that's kind of what I think was going on here too. Plus, look, Sean Clifford, 22, 34, 217 yards, 3 touchdowns. He's not like dropping dimes all over the place and throwing these huge passes. They went deep a couple of times and were able to connect on some great passes, but he's being very efficient with the ball. And I like that, keeping it in check, not turning it over. He also put 23 yards on the ground with 5 attempts. So I mean, he's and scored a touchdown that way too. So I mean, Sean Clifford is still kind of the feature, still kind of the main wheel here of what's going on. But I'm going to tell you something here, folks. In the second game of the year, we had a certain running back named Nick Singleton break out for, 189 yards or something crazy like that, right? And I think we had another breakout game from another young player, Katron Allen. Number 13 had 13 carries for 111 yards. 1 carry was like 60 some odd yards or whatever. So, yeah. He also had a touchdown as well. And he was also involved in the passing as well as Nick Singleton, as far as that's concerned, as well, too. So, really like that Nick Singleton. I think he's going to be a special back here for Penn State. He just has that natural ability to just kind of run downhill, and he just seems to get better as the game goes along. And Katron Allen, man, holy smokes, man, that he too also has another gear and was a really key factor in this game as well, too. You got to give it up for Brandon Strange, 2 touchdown catches for him, and you also got to give it up to Mitchell Tinsley as well, too, for the Penn State offense, putting it together there and putting it down. Way to go, Chop Johnson. Another great defensive game. Also, Joey Porter Jr., another great All-American game from that youngster as well, too. And that defense is starting to come together a little bit more, and I'm liking what I'm seeing from this defense. They're stopping, they're holding the opposition to more 3-and-outs. When you hold Central Michigan and then also some other running backs that they've faced so far this year, they've held pretty much in check. Now, this was the first game this year where Penn State was able to hold the rushing attack to under 100 yards, but did it in a very good way. Also, really like the fact that they pretty much made Central Michigan one-dimensional by taking away the run game and forcing Richardson to throw 45 times. Usually, if you're throwing that many times, that's not usually pretty good, especially in a college game. Just saying. And if you are throwing it that many times, you usually are, it's a lot more dynamic where there's a lot more of the RPOs and there's a lot more of the other things too where it wasn't quite that for Central Michigan. Nothing against Central Michigan. And, this was it was pretty much 14-0 at the end of the first quarter. So... But here's the kicker, though, right? So if you look at, like, the stats, right? Penn State only had 403 total yards. Yeah, only. But Central Michigan had 363 yards. They actually had more passing yards, 275. Of course, that's what happens when you throw the ball 45 times. Penn State had a total of 237. Okay? Here's where Penn State really took off. They doubled up, 166 rushing and 88 yards rushing for Central Michigan. The first downs are pretty much the same across the board. The third down efficiency, fourth down efficiency, actually, they went for it 5 times and made it 3 times. Penn State went 3 times, made it 2. Almost the same number of plays. The penalties, Penn State had 5, Central Michigan had 8. But the big thing is the turnovers. The 2 interceptions, the 2 fumbles lost, and then the fumble that was lost in the kickoff, or I think it was the kickoff after Penn State scored a touchdown. Whatever. And usually, if you're on the losing end of the turnover ratio, that doesn't usually bode well for you, especially if you're trying to win a game on the road against Big Ten, 14-ranked Penn State opponent. I don't know. I'm just saying. Penn State welcomes Northwestern next week. That's going to be a really good test. And then, they fly into Ann Arbor and land at the Big House. And I'm here to tell you, folks, that is really going to be a test for this Penn State team all the way around. Now, Michigan kind of had their hands full a little bit with them Terrapins on Saturday, so this could be a pretty good game, I think. Might be warming up to be that matchup. We'll see. No time determination on this game either, too, so they might flex, quote-unquote, this game to a primetime game. We'll see. It depends. If Northwestern and Penn State play a really good game and Penn State's able to win that game, and if Michigan's able to continue on, I think you're going to see a primetime game for Penn State and Michigan. How about that? Like week 6 already, primetime games like that. So all in all, a great win for Penn State. Good to see the guys out there playing well and starting to put things together. A little bit suspect on some of the clock management, a little bit suspect on some of the play calling. I mean, okay, it's a win. Everything looks great when we win. So, All I got to say is next couple games are going to be more of a test for Penn State, more of a yardstick for Penn State, and I'm looking for good things out of them Lions, and we'll see how things go, especially for the next 2 weeks. So thank you guys very much for checking us out. Thank you for watching. Please hit that like and subscribe and, do all the other cool stuff that you guys do. And if you have any comments, let me know, man. Love to know what you guys hear and what you guys think about this. And, I'd love to get into it with anybody. Or, you can find me out on Twitter at SteelFlyers52. And you can also find all the great stuff out there from the SteelFlyers All Sports Network at www.steelflyers.com. Don't forget to check us out. Thank you very much for watching the Nittany Report. Just remember, folks, we are Penn State, and we'll see you on the next show.